Oh, hi, everybody. So I was leaving the house to head to the studio. And so I said, oh, the car's here. I looked at my dog and I said, I love you all. And I walked outside. And that's when I saw Michael Myers standing there. I'm always happy to see a fellow cast member. So we got in the car and chatted for a little while. But it wasn't until I got to the studio that I found out that my hair and makeup person wasn't coming and that Michael Myers was the one doing my hair today. I asked him to put down the knife, but he wouldn't. Hi everybody, it's me, Jill, and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 11, Episode 21, The Reunion, Part 1. Well, the votes are in, and the majority of you really wanted me to just kind of get right to the reunions, and I totally understand why. For those of you who wanted me to go in order, let me just put it this way. What I really want to do is to go back and recap the episodes that I missed because there was so much good stuff. Just know that that's my intention, and if I can, I'm going to. Okay. All right, let's just get into this reunion. We open with a trailer that was teased earlier. It starts off 2 weeks before the reunion. We see Rinna's feet stepping out of a car, like right out in front of Erica's house. And then she and Erica fawn over each other a little bit. You look wonderful. You look wonderful too. Get in here before we get mugged. So they go in the house and, lock the deadbolt and sit down to chat. And Rinna said, everyone's like, is she going to the reunion? And I'm like, fuck yeah, she's going. Erica, yeah, I'm going. I'm like, she shows up for everything. Why wouldn't she come? Erica, I'm not a f***ing quitter. Last night, I had a dream we were at the reunion, and there's gonna be some shots taken and some shots fired. Oh, what a revelation. So you mean this reunion is gonna be like every reunion ever? Spooky. Erica goes on to amaze us even further with her pearls of wisdom by saying, guess what? There's gonna be some winners and there's gonna be some losers. Wow. It's like she's like clairvoyant. She could see right into the future. Rinna, well, that's life, baby. This conversation is peppered with scenes from the reunion then. Then Erica says to Lisa, remember when you called me and said these girls have flipped on you? And Rinna goes, well, that'll come up in the reunion. Yeah, it will. So now we flash forward to the day of the reunion. The ladies are backstage in their dressing rooms getting hair and makeup done. Sadly, they ran out of time to do Kyle's hair, so it looks like she just stepped out of the shower. No, honestly, it looked cuter when she was leaving the house because it was just down and like brushed out. But, to each his own. Andy visits Kyle in her dressing room and he's like, 11th reunion, and I think the stakes are higher than they've ever been. And Kyle goes, well, for some more than others. Then she reveals that Erica is not talking to her. That's interesting. Andy's now with Sutton, and he said, are you nervous about seeing her? Meaning Erica, of course. And Sutton goes, well, yeah, she said she hated me. Then he's with Garcelle, and Garcelle said, I know who's going to come for me. It's Dorit and Rinna. I'll handle it. Then Andy's dancing with Rinna in her dressing room. And finally, the show starts. The dresses... I'm not a fan of the dresses this year, guys. And I particularly dislike several of them. Erica in this pink silk short dress, I don't know. It looks like it's barely hanging onto her body. And also there's like constantly a strap showing when we get a close-up of her. I'm not loving it. Sutton's dress is nothing special at all. Garcelle's looks okay, but it almost looks like it's too big for her. or something. I'm not sure what's bothering me about that. It looks a little like sloppy and loose. Actually, as I think about it, Crystal's looks a little bit too big for her too. Maybe the ladies lost some weight before and didn't get refitted. I don't know. But I don't dislike Crystal's, actually. Kyle's, sorry, because she's got this hair, she really needed a spectacular dress. This was not it. I feel like she picked it up off the rack at Forever 21. And this is probably a super hot take, you guys, but this year, I think my favorite is Lisa Rinna in the Disney villain outfit. She has a form-fitting purple leopard dress that goes below the knee, and then she's got matching tights. I mean, at least it's interesting. Plus, you know I love a fashion risk. I mean, nobody else put an ounce of effort into their look this year. Dorit is in a dress that's from her ready-to-wear line, and it's pretty, it's inoffensive, but it's not avant-garde. It's nothing crazy. Even Dorit's hair it looks a little similar to Kyle's. Nothing spectacular like she's brought in the past. But side note, I can't imagine sitting on thousands of tiny glass pearls. I'm thinking that's not super comfy. Okay, so Andy greets Crystal first because it's her first reunion. Then he says to her, I half expected you to show up wearing the leather pants. And Kyle goes, they belong in the clubhouse. And he said, yeah, they do. Then he says hello to Sutton, and he says, how's your ankle? And Sutton said, oh, pretty good. I think this is like the first time in over a year that I'm wearing heels. And this is the highest heel I can get. I love her shoes, though, because those heels are cool. And Kyle goes, maybe we could put her boot in the clubhouse, too. No, Kyle. Andy's like, I mean, she had a winner with saying that the ugly leather pants should go in the clubhouse, because, yes, that will be iconic. Sutton's boot? No. You went one too far, Kyle. Dorita's next. They ask her about her dress. She says her ready-to-wear collection is coming out soon, I guess. I don't remember. Then Garcelle, and she said she's excited for her first in-person reunion because last year they had the reunion on Zoom. Andy then goes to Rinna, and he goes, hi, Rinna. Who's she tonight? She just has her hair slicked back and then in a long ponytail. And she said, oh, I don't know. We didn't name her. And Garcelle names her Priscilla, so that's who she is tonight. Then Kyle is next. I'm sorry, tell me a professional did her hair tonight, and then try to get me to believe it. I did this in 5 minutes, and it's literally... Okay, maybe not literally. Anyway, they talk about it being Kyle's 11th reunion, and he said, you're going to be here with a different sister this time, and I imagine it's going to be easier than a few of the times that you were here with Kim and not speaking. And she's like, oh, yeah. So then we get a flashback to a few of those moments. Side note, if you guys ever wondered how much gravitas Kathy Hilton has, she's only a friend of, yet the set was designed to look like Kathy Hilton's backyard. And last but not least, Andy said, hey, Erica. Here's what we get. Could you say hello? Andy goes, what's new? A lot. Andy, how do you feel about being here? I feel fine. How did you sleep last night? Very well. And Andy goes, really, Erica? Yeah. Was I supposed to sleep any other way? Well, no, but I mean, we know you live in a neighborhood. He's probably just wondering, like, if the gunfire kept her up. What he does say is, I don't know. I just didn't know if coming here was going to be something you were looking forward to or something you were dreading. I'm looking forward to closing the chapter and moving on. She says she's happy to address everything and all the questions the viewers may have, but she hopes that we all understand that there are things she cannot answer. But I'll do my best to give every part of the story that I can. Then she says, this is the toughest part of my life. And I asked for patience with the ladies. I got some, and some I didn't. I asked for understanding that I'm finding things out in real time myself. Andy, what's the biggest misconception about you? Erica, a lot of talk about me being cold and not having empathy or sympathy. I do, but I'm in an impossible situation. Anyone who has been wronged, I want them to be made whole. Andy, you mean Tom's victims? Yeah, I'm talking about the alleged victims of Tom's alleged misdoings. Andy, You understand how people watching could assume that you don't have sympathy. Erica, yes, but they don't know what I know, and they haven't lived through what I have lived through. Okay, that doesn't really explain it to me. Andy asks her how it was watching the show back, and she said it was really hard. And he said, what was your feeling toward the other women when you watched their reactions as it played out? Erica, disappointment, anger, sadness, and then some hope and some love and some support from Rinna, I guess. Andy says to Sutton, I know you talked to an attorney. And Sutton said, I want to be clear. I did not call my attorney. I spoke to a friend who is an attorney. And Andy said, did any of the other ladies consult an attorney? Crystal, I did, but I consult my attorney a lot in general. Andy goes, anyone else? And Kyle said, I asked Faye's husband, who's an attorney, just to break down the LA Times article for me because it was so long. God. This wasn't a 3,000-page bill that she had to peruse over for hours and hours. It was an article in a newspaper. How long could it have been? I mean, my God, Sutton read the whole thing in bed that morning before she came downstairs. Anyway, now we see a picture of the morally corrupt Faye Resnick and her husband, Everett Jack Jr., and Kyle and Mauricio and Portia. And this picture's old because Portia looks like she's about 5. I'm not sure if that's the last time they were all together or the only picture they could come up with. So Andy now asks Erica, did your attorneys advise you to quit the show? And she said, yes, they did. And I said, no. And Andy said, why? I'm no financial expert, but I assume it has to do with the paycheck. She wasn't getting a dime from Tom. And as much as I kid about her neighborhood, it is not shitty. And the home she's renting is worth over $1 million. So somebody's got to pay that rent. What she says is, because I have nothing to hide. But my attorney said, this could get flipped on you. Everything you say can get parsed and twisted and turned and used against me. Whether it's true or not almost doesn't matter at this point. And Andy said, do you ever think about quitting the show? Erica, yes, but I'm not a quitter. Oh, okay, now, thank you, Andy Cohen. He's asking a good question. How much does not having Tom's income to rely on play into this? This is your main job now. Side note, guys, how much does she make as a housewife? Do you know? I'm going to have to look it up. Okay, it was reported in the New York Times that she likely earned over $600,000 a season. Give me a break then. Every time she's like, he hasn't given me a dime. I have no money. I haven't gotten a dime. $600,000 a season. That would feel like a windfall to me. Okay, whatever. That article also said that a source from US Weekly said that if she were to return for season 12, it could be much higher than that. Anyway, Erica's response is part of the reason because you don't have Tom's money. She said, yeah, unfortunately. Why? Why is that unfortunate? She said now it's become more of a concern, but at the time of filming, she was just thinking about surviving. It wasn't like she was even thinking about, I don't have Tom's money, I have to do the show. I don't know. Andy, you have not been charged with a crime, yet if you look on social media, there is a lot of people that think that you should be fired from this show. What's your reaction to that? Erica, no. Andy goes, no what? Erica, why should I be fired? Why are you presuming that I've done something? Oh, girl, did you watch the same show we did? You've been sketchy all season. Side note, one of the main reasons why I was reluctant to skip over all the episodes that I missed is because there was so much good stuff. And one of those things that I skipped over was another storytelling episode by Erica Jane Girardi, the one about Tom being confronted by an intruder. This story had twists, it had turns, it had a trip to the hospital, and it involved another car crash. But possibly the most intriguing part about this was the style of the storytelling. Erica chose to tell this story in a rapid run-on sentence devoid of all emotion. Tom came home and was confronted by a burglar, and then his eyeballs exploded, and he needed to be taken to the hospital. But of course, I couldn't take him to the hospital, so I sent my son over there, who took him to the hospital. And then on the way home, he got in an accident, and his car flipped 5 times because it was snowing. She was telling that to Kyle, and Kyle's like, wait, what? Like, there's so many elements, right down to the fact that it was snowing in California. I mean, it's just, it was amazing, you guys. Like, it truly, if she were to take this on the road and one of the stories was told in that rapid fire run-on sentence with no emotion, bravo. I've not ever seen it done like that. I mean, wow, what a choice. She is an artist. So anyway, what Erica says is, why aren't we letting the legal process play out? You've only heard one side and a lot of the bullshit on that side. The only side most of us have heard was yours. So yeah, you're right about the bullshit. Next, we move on to Sutton. We get the highlight reel and then a viewer question asking Sutton if her mom was very hard to grow up with. Sutton says that, yeah, she was very hard on her. The camera, we cut to Erica's reaction and she does seem to be smiling. I'm not sure why. Actually, it's more of a smirk. Anyway, Sutton said that, yeah, her mom's been very hard, but she was telling her kind of how she was dealing with Crystal. You're taking it too personally and Crystal is just a different person. And you have to let that be what it is and not take it in. But a good friend told Sutton, you know, you and Crystal are a lot more alike than you think. And then Crystal starts nodding and she said, yeah, I've been told that too. Andy asked her about her store, Sutton, and how it was for them getting through the pandemic. And she said, good, the store did great. It's growing bigger and bigger. And then she says, and it's a business. And Lisa Rinna goes, oh, were you looking at me when you said that? And she goes, yes. Then Sutton said, yes, it's doing quite well. It's growing excrementally, more than I thought it would. So when she, I mean, obviously we know she meant exponentially, but when she said excrementally, the camera cuts to Erica, who's like, makes this stink face like, oh. Sutton is asked about the play date with Amelia and Porter, her daughter, and why she said, oh, yeah, I don't think the play date's such a good idea. Rinna acts like she was insulted by that. Come on. You know that in the privacy of her own home, Rinna was also thinking that would be a bad idea. Amelia is nothing like Porter. But of course, you know, Rinna's asked, how did you feel when she said that? And Rinna goes, yeah, I mean, you know, it didn't feel great because we're all mama bears. We find out that Sutton finally moved into her new house just a week ago and that she has been in Kyle's for almost a year. And Kyle said, oh, it was great having her as a tenant, but she did almost burn the house down. Then we see a picture of the fireplace. Did she not open the flue or something? It's the whole front of it is like burned and there's a wooden mantle that, I mean, it did look a little scary. Also probably not safe for Sutton and her family while they were living there. Everyone's laughing and Sutton's like, all I did was just turn it on, but you know I'll pay for whatever damage there is. And Kyle's laughing and she goes, of course, that's why I'm laughing about it. It's not a big deal. After the break, Andy says to Erica, what look are you going for here tonight? And she goes, hot. And he said, oh, are you dating? And she said, I'm trying to. Anybody? Hello, help. Andy goes, and what kind of guy are you looking for? Mid-80s, bald, slightly senile, filthy rich, still drives his own car. Just kidding. She said someone with a big penis. So, doesn't mean my answer was wrong. Andy says to Sutton, you and your boyfriend Michael broke up. What happened? And Sutton said, oh, well, we were on a nice Valentine's weekend and he broke up with me. Everyone's like, on Valentine's weekend? Mm-hmm. Erica, what reason did he give you? Sutton, he said, I just can't. And there's no comeback to that, really. I'm not laughing at my sweet, sweet Sutton, but I just can't. I mean, I'm sorry. I would need a little more clarification. You just can't what and why? Anyway, she said she was devastated, but now she's not because she is dating. Erica, who are you dating? Rude. Just because you can't get a date. She's also not embroiled in a scandal. We move on to Garcelle now, and we get flashbacks to when Garcelle was feeling like she's not part of the group and her problems with Dorit and Rinna. Andy asks her about the night that she got vulnerable with the ladies, and she said that Rinna and Dorit both talked to her after that. Then Andy asks Rinna and Dorit, do you feel closer to Garcelle after that? And Rinna said, absolutely. And Dorit said, yeah, Garcelle is one of those people I felt an immediate connection to. But I think Garcelle can be passively provocative, and it doesn't give someone a chance to respond or defend themselves. I liked that she opened up in Del Mar because I felt that was real and raw. And it was like the part of her that I felt she was doing this deliberately to be relevant or to be interesting. Garcelle, what? I don't need to do anything to be relevant. Let's be clear. I have a question, Dorit. Do you ever feel like your buddy Lisa does things just to be relevant? Because that's basically her whole MO for this show. Rinna has so perfected the role of antagonist that it's to the detriment of actual real friendships. Years-long friendships that she's had with Denise Richards and now Garcelle. I mean, Rinna is committed to the role. I'll give her that. So Dorit's response is, okay, well, I feel like you've taken jabs at me. And then when I confronted you about it, you made it seem like I was coming after you. In that moment, I used a word that I shouldn't have. And Garcelle said, yeah, you did. And I need an apology for that because I am not a bully. Dorit, Garcelle, you didn't even give me a chance to apologize. The reason I even thought to call you that, the reason it even came into my head is because an element of a bully is being incessant. And I felt like the jabs at me were incessant. Andy says to Dorit, you got absolutely hazed for calling her a bully. Okay, so that's why she's bringing it up now. A viewer said, after witnessing Erica verbally attack Teddy, Eileen, Sutton, and being on the receiving end of it yourself once, why call Garcelle a bully and not Erica? Another viewer suggested that it was an attempt at trying to paint Garcelle into the angry black woman stereotype and that was a new low. Dorit, well, that was not at all my intention to paint that picture. But like I said, an element of the word bully is to be incessant. When Erica had moments with all the people that you mentioned, they were all isolated incidences. Oh, please. When someone goes after several people at different times, even if it's just once for each person, that's a pattern of behavior. One might even say an incessant pattern. The reason you're not bent out of shape about it is because it wasn't you all the time. You think Garcelle is coming after you constantly or incessantly. She gets to the place where she admits again she used the wrong word and she apologizes for it. And Garcelle said, thank you, Dorit. But Garcelle says a lot in her confessionals that she doesn't say to her face. Garcelle, that's not true. Plus, if it was true, you wouldn't have called her a bully. Because you wouldn't have known about the stuff she did in her confessionals until after the show aired. So she must have done some of it to your face. Rinna, I have to agree with Dorit. And Andy goes, you all do it. And then the ladies are like, yeah, we do. We all do it. Rinna, but you seem to do it the most, Garcelle. You're the most comfortable doing it. And Dorit goes, you don't say much to our face, and then you say it in the confessionals. Garcelle, first I say too much, now I'm not saying enough. I can't win with you. And Andy says to Dorit, you say you want her to be direct, but then you accuse her of throwing darts. Dorit, I want her to be direct. Throwing darts is not being direct, Andy. If you have an issue with someone, you talk to them and say, I have an issue with you. You don't throw a passive-aggressive jab and then smile through it. Garcelle, oh, please. And can I just say this? Don't we all want to grow? If someone keeps saying something to you, don't you want to do something about it? Erica, not at this age, honey. I'm set. Okay, no one was talking to you right now, Erica. Thankfully, Garcelle just ignores her and goes back to addressing Dorit. She says, I say you talk too much, and you come after my integrity, and you call me inauthentic, and you call me a bully, which you've apologized for, and I'm letting that go, and I am letting that go. Rinna, really? That's nice. Garcelle, Rinna, stop. Just, hold on, girl. We'll get to you. Rinna, Garcelle, I'll do whatever I want. Don't you tell me anything, okay? Thanks. Garcelle, I can say anything I want to say. And then I think it was Dorit who said, so can I. Rinna goes, so can all of us. Don't you tell me to do a thing. Okay. Andy goes, Crystal, do you think that Garcelle has a tendency to throw jabs and then run away? Crystal, well, I'll just refer to my dinner when she said that jab at me. We flash back to Crystal's house. They were talking about Sutton, and I think this was about Sutton worrying about her reputation. And Crystal said, I've never heard of her before. So the implication was like, well, what reputation does she have to save? So in Garcelle's confessional, she said, before I met Crystal, I never heard of Crystal. I knew Rob Minkoff. So Dorit says to Crystal, I'm glad you brought up the dinner. That wasn't even the jab I was talking about. No, of course, because that jab wasn't at you. You were all talking about Sutton. Garcelle, you were there and you didn't say anything in the moment. And then, Garcelle, you don't know that. Dorit, let me finish, Garcelle! Wow. She yelled. It was almost kind of funny. It shook people.
And then
you don't
let
know
me
that.
finish, Garcelle! This is the second time you've cut me off. I am going to make a point.
Make a point, Dorit.
Garcelle, make your point, Dorit. Dorit goes, flash to your confessional then. You said, why are they saying all these things? They know I'm Team Sutton. Why not in the moment say, guys, I don't agree with this. And I'm friends with Sutton. I don't appreciate this. Garcelle, you're talking about something you weren't even there, Dorit. Andy, I want to move on to Garcelle and Rinna. So Lisa, you and Garcelle have had 20 years of friendship, with some ups and downs. Do you think you've earned back your friendship with Garcelle? Rinna, well, I certainly did everything I could. Then Andy goes, she did throw your birthday party. She brought you sauce. Garcelle's like, yes, she did. That was nice. And he said, did you take those as her playing chess? Or as, wow, she's really making an effort? Garcelle, I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure how I took that. Those were lovely things to do. I just don't trust. Erica, should she stop trying to reach out because you don't trust? Okay, this is not even your segment, Erica. Are you afraid you're not getting enough camera time? Because trust me, you will. You've already had a lot, and this isn't even like, I'm sure, the main part of talking to you. That's going to be like part 4. Why don't you just take this time to rest up? Garcelle said, I honestly don't know how to answer that. And Erica said, because she's going to get to the point, and I'm sorry, I'm speaking for you, but she's going to get to the point where she says, I've really tried and she doesn't trust me, so enough. Then Crystal said, your birthday, that was genuine. The text thread that we were all on, because they surprised Garcelle for her birthday, remember, at Lisa's house. That text thread was very sweet and genuine. Lisa said, I just think that you break the chain with me. Like you don't want to go any further. And I just have to take that in right now. I really do. Garcelle, okay. I'm sorry. Erica, do you want to punish her for the way she treated Denise fucking Richards? And Garcelle said, no, I'm done with that. Denise fucking Richards can fight her own battles. I'm really done with that. Lisa, okay, but bringing it up at the final party, then we get a flashback to the finale episode. It was a party Crystal threw for Chinese New Year, and all the ladies were there, and Garcelle said to Lisa, I would love to see a reach out to DFR at some point. And Rinna did not like that. She's like, I'll see. But, it was kind of like, I'll do what I want in terms of my relationships with other people. That'll be my decision. Lisa said, we went for 4 months and you had to bring up Denise Richards again. When are you going to let it go? Well, I may never let it go. Oh, I guess she was talking to Garcelle. Garcelle said, I have let it go. Lisa goes, when? Garcelle, just now. And Lisa goes, oh, well, thank you, Lord Jesus. I hope I never hear that again from you. Garcelle, you will not hear it again from me, girl. Andy, Garcelle, you expressed your disappointment at Rinna for not standing up for you during the season. What were you expecting from her? And Garcelle said, well, at the lip kit launch, when Dorit was saying all those things to me, I thought Rinna would have said something, anything. Rinna, but I agreed with Dorit, so I wouldn't have been on your side. I thought what Dorit was saying was correct. Garcelle, gotcha. Andy asks Sutton to weigh in. Sutton says, well, part of it, I think, is that Lisa didn't have my back either. And Garcelle was saying, like, Lisa's your friend, and she's not helping you at all. Rinna's like, listen, if I had been mean to you or done something to you, I would understand. Garcelle, well, somebody told me that you said that I should never have brought race into this show, that it's not that kind of a show. And that really bothered me. Lisa tells Garcelle she should have come to her and asked her. Garcelle said, oh, please, there's plenty of things that you don't come to me for. Erica, yeah, but that's a big one. Rinna, that's a big one. Erica's little parrot. She's even imitating Erica's finger point right now. Rinna says, Garcelle, you have it out for me, and I want to know why. Garcelle says, I don't have it out for you, Lisa. But she got pissed when she heard that. And Rinna goes, then why didn't you come to me and say, Rinna, what are you doing? Rinna wants to know why Garcelle was mad at her all season long. And Rinna said, and then you say the race thing? I never said that. Where did you hear it? Garcelle says she will never tell, but that she was sent some texts. Rinna, it's pretty unbelievable that you just did that. Garcelle, don't turn this around. Why are you so rattled? Rinna, you were shitty to me all season. No, that was Erica's house. Garcelle says, because I don't trust you. Rinna, after Watch What Happens Live, when you basically said we want Lisa Rinna fired so DFR can come back, then we get a flashback to the Watch What Happens Live episode when Garcelle was on. And she did hint that DFR would consider coming back. And she goes, but somebody else would have to go first. And Andy goes, oh, okay. Is that person's initials LR? And Lisa goes, so after that, Garcelle, why did you reach out to me and say you wanted to make things better? And Garcelle said, I didn't reach out to you. You reached out to me. And you said I threatened your job. Lisa, I said you hurt my feelings. Garcelle, and then when I explained it to you, you said, well, I guess I was just in my feelings at the time. Lisa, yeah. But then when you just threw down what you insinuated now, it shows exactly who you are. And Garcelle said, so you want to tell me that every single one of you is okay that we're talking about certain things that we've never had to talk about before? And Crystal goes, I'm okay with it. Erica said, you do add a completely different perspective. And Kyle said, yeah, and that's the real world, and that's why it's great. Rinna denies having said that about Garcelle bringing the race conversation to the show, and she would like Garcelle to apologize for the insinuation that she did. Because Garcelle, I would never say that. I was happy you came on the show. I like you. Why would you insinuate that? And Garcelle says, I don't know. This is crazy. What do you mean you don't know? Somebody sent you texts. You didn't just make that up about Lisa out of thin air. I mean, you don't have to out the person, but don't say, I don't know. Garcelle says, would you really have told me if you did say, I wish you wouldn't bring up race on the show? And Rinna goes, yeah, I would have. Erica, yeah, this one? Yeah, she would have. Andy, where do you two go from here? Garcelle, I don't know. Do you want to move on? Rinna, I said that the entire season. Garcelle's like, well, what do you need from me? Lisa says, I just want the Garcelle I knew before. And Garcelle said, I want the Lisa I knew before. Lisa, Harry's been watching the show with me. And he said to me, he goes, what happened to Garcelle? Garcelle, oh, stop. He said, she looks so unhappy. Is she okay? Garcelle, please. Do I look unhappy? Dorit, I didn't think you looked miserable. But I think you checked out. That pisses Garcelle off. I checked out? Honey, I show up. So Rinna wants to know why Garcelle is holding a grudge with her, yet she doesn't hold the grudge with anybody else. Again, Garcelle says, I don't know. Andy suggests, could it be because you've known her the longest? You've been friends for over 20 years? And Garcelle said, yeah, maybe. Maybe my expectations are higher. With Rinna? Why would your expectations be higher with Rinna, you know? But anyway, I mean, that's fair, right? Shouldn't you expect more from a friend of 20 years than a castmate that you aren't really friends with in real life? I think being betrayed by someone you've known as a friend hurts more. So now Rinna wonders if there's any way to move forward. She's like, because Garcelle, when we were good, it was great. And Garcelle said, so good. We're so funny. And Garcelle said, so good. Rinna, I love you so much. I really do. And Kyle cannot stifle her laugh. It's hilarious. It's one extreme to the other. Rinna goes, I know it doesn't seem like it, but I love you. I get mad at you. And Garcelle said, you can be mad at me. I'm mad at you. Crystal, my feeling is that she really wants to mend things with you, Garcelle. Honestly. So Andy said, okay, so this has now been a year that you've been rebuilding your friendship. Rinna, Garcelle, can I come over there? So she stands up, walks over to Garcelle's couch. Dorit, under her breath, to Crystal, says, she just wanted to show her outfit. Which was probably true. Also, if anyone should know what that's like, it would be you, Dorit. Rinna, I want to move on with you. I know you don't trust me. I know you don't like me. But just give me a chance, Garcelle. Now, Erica, under her breath, says, girl, what is happening here? She's groveling, Erica. That's what Rinna does. Rinna, give me a chance. Garcelle, you got it. And they're hugging Dorit. But do you really mean it, Garcelle? Then Erica says to Dorit, and Garcelle goes, I mean, she's right here. What am I going to say? And she goes, no, I'm kidding. Yes. Erica, Dorit, don't push it. Dorit, I'm not talking to you right now. Erica, shut up. It's so real in a way, you guys. So Rinna grabs Garcelle in a big bear hug. I'm not going to let her go, guys. And, they certainly look happy. I will say that. Okay, when we come back from the commercial break, now we are joined by Kathy Hilton. And Kathy pulls out a folded sheet of paper from her little purse. Kathy said, I have a few notes because I wanted to address a couple of things. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what Kathy has to address. I mean, Kathy had no issues with anybody, and nobody had any issues with Kathy. So the fact that she needed to take notes, I can't imagine what they say. It's probably things like, now who is Hunky Dory? Did we ever get to the bottom of that? So anyway, Kyle grabs the paper and she goes, we call these receipts, Kathy. Side note, also, they are adorably handwritten on like a piece of notebook paper with a black marker. And he goes, oh, I see Garcelle's name on there. And Garcelle's like, bring it, Kathy. Everyone's laughing, though. So then Andy asks Kathy if she recognizes where they are. Kathy looks around. No, I don't know. And Andy goes, what does this look like to you? And so now she's turning around. She's like, is it my house? And he goes, yes. Everyone's so happy Kathy got it right. So Andy asks her, so you've made appearances here and there throughout the years, but what made you decide to join the show 11 years in? And she doesn't answer, and Kyle goes, because I pushed her. And Kathy goes, yeah. Then there's a viewer question. Grace from Roswell, Georgia asks, Kyle, how did you really break your nose? And are you sure it wasn't just an excuse to get another nose job? Someone kicked her in the face on the set of Halloween, Grace. We learned that in episode 1. You weren't paying attention. Then Andy says, I heard you had an interesting encounter on the way here. We see a flashback to 5 hours earlier, and Kyle is leaving her house. As I said in the open, there's no people around. She just scratches her dog on the head and says, I love you all. Then she closes the front door to her house and she's kind of looking down at her phone, but we hear the music from Halloween and she's walking closer to the car and she looks up and Michael Myers is standing there with a knife in his hand and Kyle screams. But it's like, a horror movie scream. So Kyle's like, yes. And I think Rinna asked Kathy, did you do that? Or maybe it was Dorit. And Kathy goes, Andy goes, you did? That was you? Oh my God, that's so great. And so everyone's just laughing because it was a Kathy Hilton prank. Then Andy asks Kyle all about Halloween Kills, which is coming out October 15th. And how did it feel to reprise your role after 40 plus years? And she's like, oh, it was great. And I'm thinking, is this a paid advertisement? What is this segment about? Because it feels a little bit more involved. Well, maybe not. Maybe we talked about the others, like Erica being on Broadway and stuff like that. The Countess's cabaret show. I suppose. This just felt like a commercial for Halloween Kills. Okay, now Andy asks another good question. This is the second one tonight that I feel like would be a question that I might have asked. He's asking Erica about the reunion right after she wrote her book. When he asked her, how did Tom like the book? And she said he didn't read it. Andy goes, I thought that was so fucking weird. Oh, yeah, we all did, Andy. He said, and I asked you about it and you were so defensive. Okay, so it was 2018. And I think I've done this before, but in case you missed my recap, where I am recreating this look right here, I will link it for you right there. Erica's answer is, look, we all defend our husbands. She would defend Mauricio. She would defend PK. I mean, we all defend our husbands. Then we cut to last year's reunion when Andy asked her, how did Tom like seeing you on Broadway in Chicago? And she said, Tom didn't make it to the show. So Andy looks at Erica and she goes, I'm not going to defend him because I know that he was in DC and he never bothered to come to New York City. Rinna, she's in such pain for her friend. Everyone's like, no. And Erica goes, I found that out later. Andy asks her why she didn't leave sooner if Tom was cheating on her. And Erica said, this is absolutely, by the way, no answer to that question, why didn't you leave sooner? This just adds more fuel for it not making sense that she didn't leave sooner. Anyway, she said, the cheating was only part of it. There was so much more there. And I said to Tom, if you are in love with someone else, then divorce me and go be with her. Andy, and he said, Erica, nothing. Andy, nothing. And were you faithful to him? Dun, dun, dun. Dramatic music, fade to black. Part 1 has come to a dramatic and abrupt end. Oh my God, you guys. A strong start for the reunions. I know a lot of you think that they're just stretching it into 4 to make money or whatever, but I actually believe that this year there is enough content for 4 episodes, and I will be here for it all. Is it wrong that I hope that Erica will break out another story, like a little impromptu ad lib? That would just make everything perfect. That is it for me, you guys. I had to stop in the middle of this because we had some movers come to give a quote, and my hair. I didn't say a word. The man didn't say a word. All this action right here just went unspoken. It's funny. I mean, I'm never going to see him again. What do I care? All right, that's it for me. Guys, I promise you I am going to try to stay on top of these reunions, but it's hard. It's just hard. I'm going to do my best. And I know you guys, before I forget, how kind and loving are you all? Oh my gosh. I'm overwhelmed with the support and the well wishes and the great advice. Some of you were giving me packing advice and moving advice, which was, I took everything in and I will implement some of your ideas for sure. But yeah, you guys are great and you've been so patient, and that's why I love you. And that's also why I really want to try to do this for you guys. Cause, it's fun for me, but I really want to be there for you if you're having a bad day or whatever. And it's hard for me to disappoint you guys. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to I'm just going to have to do what I can. I may get to a point where I realize I can't, but, for now anyway, I'm going to keep trying. All right, thank you so much. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. In the description box down below, you will find links to items I have favorited in Amazon. I am an Amazon affiliate. If you click on any one of those links, it will take you to that item in Amazon. You do not have to purchase that item, but if you then go and purchase whatever you were planning on buying anyway, I will still get some credit for that as long as you don't log out and log back in again. All right, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and leave a comment down below. I love to hear from you guys, even if I can't always reply. I always read your comments. They mean so, so much to me. And I will see you next time. Love you guys so much. Bye.